We're in a positive 3.5 day long lunar unit and in a short lunar unit of 3 hours right now in an E period on a Friday afternoon. Good for scientific investigation and revelation, right? This daily period of the cycles of life, okay? Now, there's actually something going on with all of us all the time that's extremely important to perhaps intelligently focus on and have mastery over and to guide as a process in life with what is basically the innermost of the innermost, holy, sacred, and pure, divinely inspired and beautiful and good, and even mystical and surprising sort of visualization, imagination, and creative inner higher self mind's eye type of activity that goes on within us. Because you see, as I speak right now, I'm looking at the real world, okay? Yet in my mind's eye, I'm also able to look at things. So like when you're dreaming and I'm going to use plain English to just be as simply comprehensible as possible. When you're laying in bed at night dreaming and you awaken, that mechanism that's producing what you're seeing in that dream, that same mechanism is a mechanism that's part of how we are alive and active creatively. And it's something like the mind's eye, and that thing is active right now too. So it's not dreaming in terms of laying in bed. Rather, it's being alive, fully, clearly awakened and seeing and living and dreaming and living your good dreams. Because what's happening is the dream mechanism is what creates the dream mechanism, the visualization, imagination in the mind's eye, right? It's the thing wherewith, if you're seeing this in the outer world, yet if you're thinking about something like the past or the future, or you're daydreaming about something, you're looking at it and it's the mind's eye. So it's as if there's an inner world and a universe, and then there's an outer world and a universe. And the two are actually connected, and the source point of origin is within yourself, in your mind's eye, in your being, in your visualizing, right? That's the first and the primary point where you're at. And then you're seeing emanation outward, right? So what's happening is that if we could get a good, safe grip on our mind's eye and what we dream or even daydream about and visualize, and maintain that in a certain, almost like having a good awakened dream. Having a good awakened dream, what's actually happening is that you're starting to see now that life, like a divine dream, is your life, and you're living your divine dreams. This actually happens. And how does it happen? Do we just see this outer world change all of a sudden based on what we're visualizing and dreaming of? No, it takes time. It's very interesting. It actually takes time. What happens though is that I find myself looking at the real world and I'm daydreaming in my mind about something, about different things, good things. And then what you actually start to realize, is that daydream. So while you're alive and awake, looking at the real world, right? While you're daydreaming, that what you're daydreaming and visualizing while you're even looking at the real world visually is also real. Although it's on the more intangible, higher and sort of pre-manifested levels that will gradually manifest out based on some type of divine perfecting and safety mechanism that's in place in creation. So like, okay, think of it this way. I'm looking at the real world, right? Yet it's like in a dream. But what I'm thinking and daydreaming of is actually something like a reality. It's an inner reality, and the more we guide and focus on that, you project that outward. This is what's known as living your dream. Before you can live your dream, you actually have to have a good dream and an imagination and a daydream, okay? And then actually, while that's happening and that's producing, you're visualizing, imagining, that's actually it's almost like laying the foundation for the future reality, even in the outer, very, very minutely and very, very intangibly, on a very fine, higher level, to do with reality and how it's gradually produced and sort of rolled out, right? So if you have a good daydream, what actually happens is, if you have a good dream, how do you have good dreams or daydreams? You have to focus. There's different techniques of like meditation where you focus. You go from leaving the polarized, like, okay, trying to pay attention, not paying attention, trying to. No, rise above it, and you rise above yourself to your higher self, and you look at yourself from above, sort of. Neutral observational perspective. At that point, what happens is, you're now neutrally observing yourself, and you begin to focus and gain more clear vision in the present. And you can monitor yourself, your thoughts, your ideas, and all those things increasingly, so that you can also actively have command and mastery and guiding power over your thoughts, dreams, and your what you're visualizing and imagining. And if you do that, it's as if you're commandeering reality, because your reality, like I said, is produced first and foremost within through your dreams and your visualization and so on. And then gradually we see this sort of being rolled out. So it's almost as if you could get a good grip on what you're dreaming or daydreaming, what you're thinking, what you're visualizing, what you're imagining, right? You would have a grip on the reality that you live, because you're like wisely, attentively dreaming or daydreaming your life and living your good divine dreams or daydreams. And then life becomes a really good dream. It's real. It's not that it's separated, and one thing is not separated from the other, it's connected. So, how shall I explain this? Okay. Interesting. There's essentially a process of where you are visualizing and thinking about things while you're also awake and looking at the real world. Well, what you're thinking about is actually real. It's just that it's on a higher sort of an immaterial, more of an immaterial level in the terms of images and imaginations and mind's eye visualizations. These things, based on sort of what goes on, they are actually sort of the foundation for the real reality. It's almost like you're dreaming and thinking and visualizing is like arranging the code, and then that code gradually being put into the real tapestry of reality, okay? This thing is real. So that's why we should keep a good meditation or a visualization or a mind's eye, or just like keep good